everyone. Welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing how fantastic LX 450s compare to FJ80s is whatever the correct terminology would be for that, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is 4x4 Toyota Tyler, and joining me today in the studio, again, episode 396, is Mr. Jimmy Jet. Hi, buddy.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing okay.
Nice. I didn't dress correctly today, apparently.
No, it's raining, by the way.
I never checked the weather. I just assume it's the beginning of May. Therefore, I should be in shorts and flip-flops.
I agree.
Okay.
But it's raining. But you can be in shorts and flip-flops, I guess, in the rain in Hawaii.
And you can do it here too. It's just a little chilly.
It's just a little colder. Well, it reminds me of that sound clip that's going around on Instagram or TikTok. That's the one that's like, don't check the weather, be a man.
Oh yeah. That's NorCal right now.
Right now. Yeah.
90 degrees last week, 90 degrees.
Yep.
And then we got snow.
Yes. Like 5 days later.
We got more snow.
Yeah. We got a foot of snow over the Sierras in the last few days.
Yep.
And probably some more today.
Yep. So yeah, speaking of that, because we got more snow in the Sierras, there has been an official announcement from Rubathon saying they are debating on moving the dates back now. They have not made a decision on it yet. They said they'll figure it out by May 15th. They'll have a final decision on it, which is 11, 12 days, whatever it is.
From this recording.
From the recording, yeah. So I guess it's coming out on Monday, whatever the math works out
The
to.
7th, so it'll be roughly 7 days.
Roughly a week, yeah.
8.
So they're talking about moving it back to August, what is that, 9 through 13?
Yeah.
Which is the same weekend as
Sierra Trek.
Yeah.
Lovely. So people need to choose if they want to support a Toyota Land Cruiser event out on the Rubicon or the Cal 4-wheel event out in Fordyce.
Yeah, which is too bad.
Yep.
And it sounds like this year, if that plays out, Jeepers Jamboree, Jeep Jamboree, Rubathon and Sierra Trek, and Marlin Crawler Roundup are all back to back weekends.
Oh man.
So
if you want to wheel the Rubicon,
don't do it during the month of July or August.
Jeez.
At least not on a weekend. Not even on weekdays, because a lot of those events use them on the weekdays too. So
that is incredible. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yeah. So that's the update there. We'll let you guys know as soon as we hear the final word from Rubathon as to whether or not they move the event back or not.
Okay.
And I'm going to have an interesting decision to make.
We both might at that point.
Yeah.
If they move it, the thing is I'm available. I'm busy the current weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So if they move it, I might be able to make an event.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on or what's happening. So
yeah.
Anyways, we'll keep everybody informed with that and what's going on.
Yep.
More snow means everything's kind of just getting pushed back farther in the wheeling season for us, or whenever that wheeling season is.
Yep.
However, we do have a giveaway going on.
We do.
And we are giving away 2 spots to get the PSI Pro 10.6 compressors from Moreflate.
Yeah.
So we did you make 2 spots? Because I saw a reservation come in through my name.
That was for yours.
Oh, for me? I'm getting one?
You are getting one.
Oh, I thought that was a placeholder for one of the winners.
For the podcast.
All right,
no,
cool.
Yeah, you're getting one, and that's going to be for you to shoot some videos and do whatever with. Help us spread the word, good word about it all.
All right. I am an influencer, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Mr. B-list celebrity over here. But yeah, no, I actually should go and put in just 2 blank spots right now into the queue. That way, the winners for May for the giveaway here for the podcast will have an early spot in the order list here for the pre-orders. So,
excellent.
Yeah.
And so to get entered for that, all you have to do is sign up on iRate 4x4 under the gift box, or the giveaway tier. The gift box tier is currently closed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on, if you go over to iRate 4x4, you sign in, you should find the watch, listen, and discuss section. Go down to the top one which is Snail Trail 4x4. We're number one out of what, 3 there?
We're number one. We're number one.
And then if you're on the mobile, scroll to the bottom. The signups are there. If you're on a PC, it's on the right side.
Yep, that's it. Gift box tiers are all closed up, so we are already working on October's gift box. So that one's going to be a really fun one, a little bit different from our normal boxes, but I think you guys are really going to enjoy it here.
Yes, I agree. I think it'll be fun. If we can pull this off, I think it's going to be badass.
Yep. We're getting stuff finalized for Tool Month.
Yeah,
which I think is going to be another really fun month this year. So we'll give you guys more details as we get closer to Tool Month coming up, but something that you guys have to look forward to. Let's see, what else do we got going on that's exciting stuff?
We went back and we listened to a previous episode, and we had discussed that we would wait till Memorial Day to choose new people for the WINCH giveaway.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're going to stick to that. I know that we kind of talked, we got like another month in the last episode, but yeah. So Memorial Day, if we don't hear from username already taken 69420 or Joe Z 60421, we don't hear from either of you guys by Memorial Day, we will draw some new winners.
Yep. So Memorial Day it is.
I think that's it.
Cool. Awesome. That was quick and easy. We have a fun interview here today for everybody. We have a special guest on the show, back on the show. I think this is his third time.
I believe so.
Fourth time, I think, on the podcast.
3, maybe 4.
I say, didn't you do one by yourself with him during COVID? Or was that Dirt Garage?
That was Dirt Garage.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I think this is Nate's third time here on the podcast. He's doing a really cool build right now that, of course, we love for a really fun contest. So he's going to shed some light on what he's doing, how things are going, and how you can vote for him. So, if you guys have any feedback about the episode, you know how to get a hold of us. Send those on in, and I guess we'll be right on back after we get to hear a little bit from Brian.
Go vote.
Are you tired of landing in potholes and bouncing off obstacles? To play at your full potential, correctly tuned coilovers allow you to float over the rocks and gain more traction. At 4-Wheel Underground, our full suspension systems include custom-tuned coilovers for your specific application. To learn more, visit 4wheelunderground.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to today's campfire discussion. We have around the campfire here, virtually in the virtual studio, Mr. Nate from Dirt Lifestyle. Welcome back to the podcast, sir.
What's up, gentlemen? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. We were just talking about this, but we missed you out at King of the Hammers this year, so...
I missed me out of King of the Hammers this year, too. Yeah. I was having FOMO so bad, but I say yes to too many things is my problem. So I was married to my shop.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
For what it's worth, I didn't make it out there this year either.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, that means we'll both have to make it out next year.
Deal.
Well, cool, man. You're here today because you have something kind of fun going on. And, anybody who's following along with the YouTube channel, with your Instagram, anything like that, they probably have an idea, but I'm sure there's some people out there that are like, oh, what's this fun thing going on? And it's a competition you're involved with, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, explain this competition real quick and kind of what the rules are, like what is the whole point behind it, all this good stuff.
I would have framed it by saying that most of us love all the cheap truck challenges and all that the Motor Trend did, and that before that, Four Wheeler Magazine and all that. I mean, it's one of my favorite issues every year was watching the cheap truck stuff. And then when they started filming it and putting it on YouTube, I mean, it was huge, and no one does it anymore. And so I think that OnX saw an opportunity here, not to necessarily do a cheap truck challenge, but like an affordable truck challenge, like some sort of a build off that is like, constrained. Build offs are no fun when there's no ceiling. It's basically whoever's is the richest wins, right?
Yeah.
So they gave us a $15,000 ceiling to build something that is capable of going on Ultimate Adventure, and whoever wins the most votes with their build throughout this series gets to actually go on Ultimate Adventure. So
Nice.
it's funny how 15 grand sounds like a lot until you look at what tires and wheels cost.
Yep. half of your build is right there.
Definitely, man. So, anybody for 15 grand, you could easily build like a cool trail truck that you could tow to the trail, right? But when you need to be able to camp out of it for like a week and do hard trails and do freeway speeds. And that's when the 15K it is not enough, but
Yeah.
we're going to see what we can do.
So is part of the rules that you have to be compliant for the Ultimate Adventure?
Yep, that is part of the rules. But there's a caveat there that's really nice. When we were at Eastern Jeep Safari, they said anything that is required in order to go on Ultimate Adventure does not count towards your official budget. And I was like, what?
Oh, interesting.
Okay.
That loosened up some funds for sure. If it's a UA requirement, like lockers don't count towards our official budget, which is great.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what if I believe last year Falcon was the tire sponsor. So if you get Falcon tires, does tires not then go towards the price?
I don't know. The tire one is
Okay.
a weird one because it says 35's minimum tire requirement on the UA requirements. And so to me, that means, all right, I have to get bigger tires so that doesn't count towards my budget.
Yeah.
But, this is all about fun, not necessarily about rules. I think that
Sure.
and it's also the first year they're doing this. Hopefully they continue to do it because we all love this kind of content, right? But I think that as we work our way through this first year, the rules next year will be more understood and more set in stone. That's my anticipation.
Gotcha. So it's almost like how Gamblers started, right? Where it was a pretty strict $500, right?
Yeah.
You get to wheel whatever you can find for $500. And then it's just kind of turned into, well, now it's just kind of like the spirit is the MacGyverism behind it. What can you throw together with leftover parts or scrap metal parts, stuff like that. So I'm curious if this is going to morph into more of that, the spirit of it, quote unquote, or if they're going to, keep to the strict rules of like a $15,000 ceiling.
Yeah, I think it'll be more the former. I think that we'll see. I mean, it depends on how good this turns out, right? Like I said, It's not fun if there's no budget. Like if it's literally like, well, however much money you have, now everyone's showing up in trophy trucks and Ultra 4 cars. So we can go run, trails in Colorado or the Rubicon or something. And that's not as relatable. So I think that will probably always be the spirit of the 15 grand with gray area in order to make it to where you can still build a good truck because it's so hard to build something with the price of the vehicle for 15 grand.
Yeah.
Oh, including the vehicle price.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. So speaking of vehicles, what vehicle did you end up getting and what are you going to be using for this competition?
Yeah, everyone has their bucket lists of things they want to do in their lives. I love building stuff. And so I have a build bucket list, and the Land Cruiser 80 series is very high up on it. I just haven't had a need to get one. So when OnX approached me about this, the first thing that came to my head was the 80 series Land Cruiser. I looked at a bunch of other stuff. I was actually looking at some really weird stuff like they have these mini Mitsubishi Pajeros that are like 3-cylinder. They're so rad. Up here, you find that stuff. And I was like, dude, it'd be like a mini Samurai, like with 35s, it would be unstoppable. But then there's all these other factors. Well, I have to gut the entire thing in order to even turn it into an off-road truck. And what I liked about the 80 series and the reason I kept coming back to it, even though I was looking at all these other options, is that it is hard to find something that comes with better parts stock for the money. It is loaded with great parts.
Yeah. Yeah, we agree. We always kind of make the joke, people say, the JK was one of the first vehicles to come with a front solid axle, rear axle, and lockers front and rear.
I know.
And I'm like, no. Toyota did that like a decade before everybody with bigger axles too. So
yep.
Yeah, it's always been funny to me that people just kind of look over the FJ80s a lot. They're kind of like this not super popular, not super well-known vehicle in the off-roading world, at least especially in the rock crawling world where people, where Jeeps are dominant. Right. So, yeah, man, what were some of the parts that you were like looking at? You're like, No, this is going to be these are the parts that you were looking for that made you move towards the 80.
Actually, I should finish your last question. I just realized I bought a 1997 Lexus LX 450.
Perfect. Yep. Okay.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So I just want to be really clear on what I actually got. And the reason I got that is because people are already sleeping on the 80 series, but even more people don't know that the Lexus is the same thing, including me. I called all my Land Cruiser buddies and we're asking, and then one of them out of nowhere was like, hey, he texted me after we talked. He's like, the Lexus LX 450 is the exact same thing. And I was like, I had no idea. So then I get on Facebook Marketplace. Boom, there's one that they're asking $5,000 for that's not very far from me.
Wow.
And it was super rough, which is why it had to be sold, because Land Cruiser owners like things to have... They like their stuff to be taken care of.
Yeah, a little posh.
Posh, bougie.
Yeah.
So I hit him up with a Facebook message. I was like, I will bring $4,000 cash today. And I'm not a tire kicker. If this thing will drive on my trailer, I will not give you any issues about their rust or dings or any of that. I need something with a rough body. And they're like, sure. So I got it for $4,000. Anyway.
Nice.
Your second question. Parts.
Yeah.
So the parts that were really attractive to me is the engine in, like, I think it's the 94 to 97 is where, like, the best engines for the Land Cruiser. It's either 95, 97 or 94 to 97. In any case, I did a lot of research, and those engines are, I mean, honestly, my opinion, that's when Toyota was making its best stuff. That was like the best example. If you said, choose any Toyota around the world that is going to be like the best example of what Toyota did at its peak, I would think it would be like that generation 80 series, because the engine, so proven. People throw turbos at stock ones and make tons of power out of them, and the older 80s, tons of power is not exactly in the description. Right?
No, yeah, their engines are a little on the low side there, the earlier ones.
A little underwhelming. And even though this has got like a slush box automatic, like everything from that era, it's way oversized, way overbuilt. The transfer case, same thing, absolutely massive, way overbuilt. It's got a full float rear axle, which I think a lot of people are sleeping on how important that is. And even though they're small studs, I've got Air P studs that I'm going to use in the axles and whatnot. As long as you keep stuff like that torqued, it's usually pretty dang strong. So, and then of course it's got a live front axle, which when you look at it, looks like a Subaru Forester or something. The LX 450 is so ugly with all that cladding all over it. Most people would think it's IFS. You would never guess that's got one of the strongest front axles Toyota ever sold in America.
Yep.
So those are the big reasons why I got this specifically. And we're talking 4-corner coils from the factory. If you get something old and heavy duty that's straight axle, it's usually leaf sprung. This is coil sprung. This has got some travel with very little mods to it. So there's one big con, and it's what I'm going to be fighting the entire way through, and that is the weight. When in stock form, it weighs what you're hoping your rock crawler on 40s with all your gear in it won't weigh. Like, it's already
trail loaded for a week-long trip. Yeah.
Definitely. It's a hard place to start at 5,000 pounds if you want to have a super capable, budget-friendly rock crawler.
Yeah. We often make fun of Lee. We call his rig the white whale.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so heavy.
So what did you mean by live front axle?
I just mean straight axle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was another term about there's something else going on that made it more lively or something. Okay.
Yes.
So it just has a front axle, solid front.
Yeah, solid front axle, non-IFS.
Okay. Nice. Are you going to be doing any major modifications to it, or are you pretty much keeping it stock and using your budget for, wheels, tires, and armor stuff?
So the plan was to get, a lot of times when I build these rigs, I don't have like an ultimate goal. I have an immediate goal. The immediate goal was, all right, let's see how much I could get with, like, how much flex can I get, and how realistic is it to put 39s on it with just trimming as much as I need to out of the wheel wells, right? And then I knew that once I got to that point, I could figure out, well, how much lift would I need if I needed lift? And I knew that if I trimmed it in the shape of a 39 and I got rid of as much steel as possible, then instead of a 6-inch lift, I could do maybe a 1 or a 2-inch lift. And so that's kind of how this has gone so far. Is I trimmed it to fit the 39s. It does, and it flexes out. And with like some bump stops extensions in the rear, it's usable. But I'd still think that it's more practical to put a tiny lift on it. So I'm going to start small. I'm going to do like an inch, and I think it's a 50 millimeter, which is like at 1.2 inches or something like that.
Okay.
And then I wanted to use stock suspension, but again, I wanted to wait and see how does everything look when it's fully flexed out. How much binding am I seeing on these factory control arm brackets and all that? And so I was going to keep the factory suspension, but I decided once I started calculating out the budget, I have enough room that I could do some 3-link kit in the front, 3-link kit in the rear, which is going to increase the reliability a lot without having to worry about ripping off brackets and all that other shit. So.
Yeah, totally. That was because at 4K for the vehicle, and if you got one that came with lockers front and rear,
well, lockers aren't in the budget.
Lockers aren't in the budget. That's right. Okay. So, yeah, man, you have $11,000 to play around with.
Yeah, you got a bit of wiggle room for sure.
That's room, especially if you shop smart.
Yeah, if you shop smart and you're resourceful and you can fabricate stuff out of scrap metal that you have laying around, 11,000 can go a pretty long way on an FJ80. If you can fabricate your own suspension, you have the DOM for the links and you've got scrap metal for the brackets. That 3-linked 80, in my opinion, is one of the best rock crawlers around. Just because they're super capable. They've got nice, great axles. And once you get a 3-link suspension under them, they're super cush, they're comfy, and it just goes. So
totally. Well, and the amount of money I'm saving by not having to go from leaf spring to coil spring, or even just trying to make coil springs work, right? Because even if not coil, I mean leaf springs. If it came with leaf springs, we all know that we'd be still swapping them out to like Chevy 63s or something.
Yeah.
Right. And there's cost involved in all that. So the fact that I can reuse the coils, I've got some direct bolt-in shocks that are made for like a slight lift. So it gives a little bit more travel. And then all I'm having to spend money on is links, lockers, which don't count to the budget, axle shafts, which the RCV shafts for the 80 are the cheapest of any RCV shafts. So they're really affordable actually. And then some ring and pinions from Yukon. So I did 529s, and then even when you start to add in like transfer case gears and stuff, it still is. I had a lot more wiggle room than I was anticipating.
Yeah, so that's cool.
That's a great place to be, though.
It is,
because now you can upgrade instead of just figuring out how to make it work.
Oh, totally. And I have so much more confidence in a good 3-link setup front and rear than having to worry about all those factory thin brackets. And it's not just Toyota that's guilty of this. All factory brackets are usually as thick as they have to be, and not anymore.
Yeah.
So
and for the road, not for off-roading.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Right.
Not extreme flex and stuff.
Yeah, and going to a 3-link, you're eliminating those. What are the radius arms that are on the underside of that hang down and are anchors and just massive rock catchers. And so that's one of the biggest negatives, I think, to an 80 is how much ground clearance you're losing by those radius arms on the underside. So I think going to a 3-link is going to be a massive advantage for the capabilities of your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I'm pumped, man. There's a ton of work in my future, but I'm excited to see it all come together.
So how many contestants, how many people are competing in this contest?
So there's 3 teams. There's Team Dumpster Fire, which is the Land Cruiser 80 series. It's me, and it was my friend Edward Shin, but he just got a very important career opportunity, and so he had to take that. So he's no longer my teammate. Now it's going to be my friend Dave Chappelle from a YouTube channel called The Dirthead Shed. So Dave and I are teaming up on this 80, which is going to be sweet.
Dave was our very, very first interview.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. Dave's great.
Back on episode 10, and I think you're going to be 396.
Wow. Well, congratulations on almost 400, boys.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Dave is going to be your partner?
He's my partner, and then the other teams are the Bleepin' Jeep guys, Colt and Matt, and I don't remember. I think they're just Team Bleepin' Jeep. I don't think they have a.
They don't have a fun name like you do.
No, I have the funnest name. So fun, you should go to OnXOffroad.com and vote for me.
Yes.
Perfect.
And then the third team is Team Rad Mischief, and it's Rudy from Rudy's Off-Road Design, Matt's Off-Road Recovery son, and Holly from Mischief Maker. She's got a YouTube channel that's been blowing up over the last year or so. She was from Instagram. So those are the teams. They've got a oh man, I'm blanking here. It's a Ram Charger. They got a Ram Charger.
Okay.
That's cool.
That'll be fun.
And what's
And then-
Bleepin' Jeep have?
They've got an S10, like and not a good one, like the OG. And I can, as someone who's owned an S10 Blazer from that same era, the 80s, I can verify that those are not great trucks. That they're they leave a lot to be desired.
Didn't oh my God, Fred Williams do an S10 for a cheap truck challenge one year? And like the 4-wheel drive didn't work on it, so the only thing he could do was donuts.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, and that's funny because when we met up in at Eastern Jeep Safari with the other teams, the Bleepin' Jeep guys, they drove up with the S10, they put it in 4-wheel drive, and it didn't work. It was just 2-wheel drive.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Those things are notorious for having crappy 4-wheel drive units in them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I want to ask an elephant in the room. How do you feel about the competition between you and the Bleepin' Jeep guys?
Fine. A lot of years have passed since I was on Bleepin' Jeep.
Okay.
I started my own channel like 4 years ago. So, and I was only on there for like a year. So time heals all wounds. I know
Okay.
Matt was a little sour when I left because, I was,
You're probably one of the top producers. Yeah.
I was making content for him, and it just it came down to I didn't like making content under someone else's brand. I wanted my own identity in this space, and it's a low barrier to entry. Anyone listening, anyone watching, you can start your own YouTube channel. All you have to do is go sign up for an account. So it's like I knew it was going to be a challenge to start my own channel because I'm with Bleepin' Jeep. You have the benefit of having all the subscribers already, and then you're already monetized and all that, but the heart wants what the heart wants. I wanted to go and be my own person and have my own brand. And so that's what I decided to do. And I think that at this point in time, Matt and I can talk, and
The waters have calmed down a little.
they've calmed down a little, but by the end of this, I'll be giving him a hug on camera. It'll be awkward and sweaty, but it's going to happen.
Excellent. All right. So I wanted to go back a little bit also and just sort of talk about how this came about. You said that OnX Offroad saw this hole in the market and they figured that this would be a good idea. So tell us more about the competition and how they figure all the competition's going to work. You stated that there was a sign up or a voting process. Let's lead us into all of that.
All right. Then I'm like an open book with all this. I don't mind talking business publicly or any of that. So like when you look at it from OnX standpoint, they want to drum up memberships. They want to work with the community. They want, site traffic and all that. And they looked at what we want as people who, I say we, because I'm more than a YouTuber. Like I'm a fan of all this too, right? I'm just like everybody else. And so they're like, well, how can we give them a place where they can see what they want? And we can also, it can be financially viable for us. So it's like they put this whole thing together where they're making their own content on their YouTube channel. They're paying Ian Johnson's production company is doing the whole thing. So it's
nice.
Which is so important. I cannot stress this enough to people that don't know. When you hire some company out of LA to fly somewhere and make off-road content, it sucks.
It does not come out good. Yeah.
No, it doesn't, because they don't know. They don't understand the tools or the dynamics or whatever. Really, really quick sidebar. My friend Edward Shin, I'm going to point to this episode so he can listen to this story because he's going to die laughing.
Okay.
He was hired by this, he was working with this knife sponsor. And so they were going to come out. So because Ed is such a great looking, overlander guy, they're like, we're going to have you go out in the woods. We're going to shoot you, using our knives and all this stuff. So they hired this LA company to fly out, and they found a downed tree. So what what they directed him to do is to hop out of his truck with his Benchmade knife and start cutting the tree out of the way. It's like a tree.
Tree what?
Yeah, the Benchmade will make quick work of that.
Wow.
Oh, dude, it's a small example, but it's such a true one that when you hire non-off-road and outdoor people to shoot content that is for us enthusiasts. I mean, poor Ed, he's like contracted to do this and he has to like start cutting a tree with a freaking knife and be all serious looking about it. And then he just got destroyed. Like people gave him so much crap for it. And this is why it was so important that OnX, they are working with someone who knows exactly what they're doing. And that is Ian Johnson.
Yeah.
So this is a really, really fun series that everybody is in for because it's made by off-roaders 100% through and through. So anyway, Ian's going to film it. We're all filming our own individual like build part of it that we're going to all have on our individual channels, which is going to be awesome. If people want to vote for it, they go on OnX's website. You can vote once a day for whatever team you want. And this, the benefit for OnX is they get a bunch of extra site traffic, which is good. They're going to get content for their YouTube channel, which is good. So like this is really developed as like a high tide raises all ships type of mentality.
That's cool.
And that's why I'm so honored to be a part of it because we're all going to be, sharing each other's audiences and making fun content. And it is going to be so rad. And then once the vehicles are built, we're all going to meet in the end of July in Moab. And then we're going to go like live and use these. It's going to be our own mini ultimate adventure where we're going to live out of these things for like 4 or 5 days, go up through Colorado, and it's going to be rad.
That's pretty cool. So is the production company coming out and filming you doing some of the build stuff as well? Or are you mainly doing the filming yourself on all that?
It's funny you say that. So it's mostly us. Like I'm still making all the content for my channel on the build series, but this Sunday, Ian and Dave are going to come out to my shop, and then Ian's film crew, and they're going to shoot me and Dave working for a little bit on Sunday and Monday. So there is going to be some stuff that'll be shot here at the house, but mostly it'll be like whatever I'm building, it'll go on my channel, and then whatever Dave is building is going to go on his channel. So, and then
Gotcha.
at the end of it, it'll all go on OnX's channel, the different stuff going throughout. So.
I see. So you end up taking your content that you're already releasing and then send it over to them and they'll make a final video out of it all, or are they doing a series video as well?
They're doing the competition.
Yeah, they're filming the competition stuff. So
gotcha. Okay.
We met up at EJS and we this is a Toyota crowd. Easter Jeep Safari, for those of you that might not be initiated. They filmed us meeting up with our stock vehicles and trying to go up Moab Rim, which we all knew was terrible idea. Like we're not going to get anywhere, but it was fun anyway.
Wow. Okay. I won't do Moab Rim in my 4Runner, so
yeah. Not only is Moab Rim like terrible in like a stock vehicle like that because it's just you don't have the clearance, but it's kind of terrifying. Like it's one of the. I've done everything in Moab, and it's the one trail that even though it's not hard, the consequences are so huge that it's just there's a couple
high
of
risk
Mm-hmm.
they're a little nerve-wracking if you're not set up right.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few of those trails out there in Moab for sure that have some consequences. So I just went on to OnX Offroad and Ultra. What did they call it? They call it the OnX Offroad Build Challenge website, and I was going down the voting section, and I'm sorry to say. So what do you get if you win the voting? Let's go there before we announce where you're currently sitting.
So if you win the vote and you do well on some of the challenges that they're gonna put us through a series of challenges in July, then you win the whole thing. You get to go to Ultimate Adventure. This is mostly voting based. So it's very important that people vote for the team that they want to see do it,
So, I mean, are the challenges then something? Are they set up to where like everybody should be able to do the challenge, and the fans and watchers are going to have to vote on who they think did the best job at the challenge?
So this is all that part's all being handled by Ian. And I know that Ian is going to be throwing some like weird stuff at us, because it might not be everything you think it'll be. There could be a challenge where whoever can change their spare tire the fastest challenge. Like, knowing Ian, he's going to throw some stuff in there that we're not expecting.
Right.
That's funny.
Hope you have a spare tire.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to. For Ultimate Winter. We got to come fully dressed. Fully dressed for Ultimate Winter.
Okay.
Who can set up camp the quickest?
Yeah. All that stuff. I'm sure that there's going to be some of that, I don't know if there's going to be like hill killer challenges or anything like that. We'll see. It's all going to be up to what Ian puts together.
Right.
That's funny.
Well, right now, Rad Mischief is in first place on the voting side. They've got 4,960. Bleepin' Jeep's 8 points behind them. But then you're almost like 2,000 votes behind number one.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that we gained like 1,200 of those right after my video went live last Sunday. I think initially, at the very beginning, Ed and I were smashing everybody. It was crazy. We're at like 700 votes. The other two teams are like 300 or 400. And then the video came out from OnX. And then I think people saw all it exposed it to a bigger audience. And there's something I really regret here. The other two teams, they had all this great interaction and back and forth of them sitting in the vehicles in the OnX video. And Ed got out at the very beginning and was filming like his own video. So like, we seem kind of boring and bland. We're like driving a soccer mom mobile up Moab Rim. There's not even anybody for me to talk to in there. And I was like, oh no, this doesn't come off like we're as fun, And then also, so many people do not know how good these rigs are. And I think that they weren't voting on us because of what it started as. But then once this last video came out that I just did about building it, and they're starting to see it on 39s and all that, our votes started going through the roof. So we'll see. I'm not counting us out yet. We definitely need help.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you thought it was a brand bias vote going on by vehicle brand.
Very, very possible. Yeah.
Interesting. When do you guys have a like a group chat amongst the three teams where you razz each other about where the votes are and other things?
Other things, yeah. So far, no one has really razzed each other about the votes yet. But yeah, we do have a group chat where we're all giving each other shit, and yeah, it's really cool.
Well, I figured most of you are know each other outside of this situation, right? You guys all kind of know each other, and so I think that would be part of the fun is competition between friends to some extent.
Oh, definitely. It's a small industry, as you guys know.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever used Gaia?
I have.
We're Gaia fans on this side of the microphones. We've actually never used OnX Offroad. Can you give us a little comparison about the two softwares?
Yeah, I used OnX Hunt first, and I got used to that format. And then I used Gaia later, and then OnX Offroad came out, and I was like, perfect. Gaia for me, they're both great. I think that it really comes down to preference, like iPhone or Android. Neither one of them really has many features that the other one doesn't have available. It's like, it's how do you want to get to use those features? My opinion, but again, I'm biased because I came from OnX Hunt. My opinion is that OnX is really, really fast to just open and use and find the data you need like right away, because there's 3 layers. Whereas Gaia, it's like hundreds. It's insane, So, and that's not.
There's a lot of data to enable or disable.
It does. It's not whittled down for people who are not like obsessed with it. It's kind of like if you get a pre-programmed radio and you've got 24 stations, and then you can just talk to your buddies, or you can get a radio that like you're putting in 7-digit codes and you're trying to bounce off repeaters and shit. It's cool that it can do that. So it just depends on the kind of person you are. That's my outlook on the whole thing.
That really actually explains a lot.
That does, yeah.
We're both ham certified, type all that stuff in and deal with it and know all the frequencies. And, I don't know if you're ham certified, but sounds like my guess is you prefer the GMRS.
I do prefer the GMRS, and not just because I don't see the value of ham. It's because the people that I go out with, it's like I don't have to retrain someone or make sure everyone's certified first, so I can just say, hey, don't roll off that cliff. Like at the end of the day,
Sure.
I got to look at task first, and if the task is get out of the place that's on fire, then I need to be able to just open up the phone very quickly, find it, figure out how to get out of there, right? And
Yeah.
or as simple as just like my mom will come camping with us. I mean, I could hand anybody OnX and they could very quickly figure it out just because it is so boiled down and simple, like on the initial menus.
Yeah, it totally is.
Cool.
Do you have an iPhone too?
No, I have an Android.
You're an Android. Interesting. So I've always kind of looked at the differences between iPhone and Android and kind of the similar differences that you kind of described between Gaia and OnX. iPhone tends to be very simplified user interfaces that the phone automates a lot of options, settings, everything for you. Whereas Android, you get a little bit more access to all the different options and settings and can kind of do more with the phone, I guess. And so having that simplified user experience is kind of what makes iPhone special to the people that like it. And so it was kind of this, I was like, man, that kind of sounds a lot like the differences between Gaia and OnX with the simplified user interface and having, like you said, all your main options are, they're ready to go. And then the other features are, a little bit deeper in, whereas like with Gaia, everything is right there in your face and you kind of have to dig through it all. So.
Yeah. And again, I'm not disparaging. I mean, I'm sponsored by OnX. I work with OnX. I'm not disparaging Gaia at all. I think that they're both really valuable tools. I think that at the end of the day, it's find something that you are comfortable with using that's at a price point that you're comfortable with and use the software. Stop being lost in the woods. We all spent so many years just being lost in the woods, and now you don't have to be.
One thing I do really like that OnX has been doing and really doing well, I think, in the past couple of years is really connecting with the off-road communities and doing some really cool stuff for trail advocacy organizations and really bringing more benefits to the consumers and the users that use OnX. So I do know that they've done a really good job at reaching out and working with, and kind of like what you said, it seems like they do have this really cool mentality of a rising tide raises all ships for the off-roading world. And I think they've been doing awesome at that. And I think that's something that Gaia has fallen way, way, way behind on.
Well, there's a reason so many people are switching to OnX, man. They're making a really good impression on a lot of people in our community, and for good reason. They're funding trail cleanup projects. They're working with hiking teams. They're working with hunting teams. They're working with off-road teams. They're working with all the people in the industry, and they're doing a really good job at appealing to your average off-roader and doing things that matters. And it's not that Gaia doesn't. It's just definitely not the same scale.
Yeah.
Okay, let's I appreciate the feedback. I've never I downloaded the app when I went to Cruise Moab, the Land Cruiser event, which is two weekends after EJS. And I opened it once while I was out there, and then I got a notification that my free trial is coming up, and I deleted it. So but I've never really even played in the app. I didn't do anything. My intentions were to try to learn it a little bit more. I knew what you guys were doing. I'm like, man, these guys seem cool. They're great in the off-road community. Gaia has been silent for so many years. I wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about them. And so thanks for giving us that feedback between the two apps.
Yeah, hopefully I answered some questions, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Tell us how people can vote. Tell us what people can do. How can they best help you and the 80 and Dave as well?
Yeah, you just vote by going to onxmaps.com and you'll see links and stuff. Or I bet if you Googled OnX Build Challenge, I don't have access to my keyboard, otherwise I'd test it. But
that's exactly what I did when I pulled up the stats.
Yeah.
So you can do that. And we'll put a link down in the description as well, so you can go down there.
Yeah, that'd be great. And so if you're an OnX user and you want to start following this, just watch the videos. Vote for whoever you want. I'd love to come on here and be like, oh, vote for me because I drive a Toyota. Just vote for who you want to see go to it and have fun with it and root for people. And this is all supposed to be positive. So yeah, just head on there and vote for whoever you think is going to be the most entertaining to see at Ultimate Adventure. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all trying to do is go to Ultimate Adventure.
I like it. It's pretty much that straightforward. You kind of go to the website and then scroll down, and there's the 3 options for voting. So select your vote there. Like Jimmy said, we'll have that down in the show notes for people if you want a quick access, don't want to Google it. If people want to follow along with the 80 build and what you're doing, where can they do that all at?
Just if you Google Dirt Lifestyle, or if you get in and YouTube and just search Dirt Lifestyle, I'll come right up, and you'll all my videos from here to July are all going to be building that 80 series. I've got a lot of work ahead of me, and it's going to be a blast. And then you're going to see some of that on Dave's channel too. If you go to the Dirt Head Shed, you'll see him building it for a couple weeks over in Spokane.
On the to-do list for the 80 then is, well, you already have the 39-inch tires, right?
Yeah.
The wheels.
Yeah.
So
can you turn those, or did you just like put them up there and set the vehicle down and not do anything? Because when the picture, I was like, it looks really good, but I don't think you could turn very much. How does the steering work?
Better than you'd think.
Okay.
I mean, I drove it around the yard. I don't want to drive it too much because it is a transmission with 305,000 miles on it, and there's no gearing, so it's just all slip trying to drive it around the yard. But no, it works. It's definitely, I wouldn't, without limiting up travel, I wouldn't wheel it the way it is. But that's why I'm thinking I'm going to put a short lift on it. I trimmed out more than what you guys saw. I've trimmed out more wheel well in order to make it all work. I'm just going incrementally. It's harder to put it back.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's coming together. Today I've been out there just doing tons and tons of body work. The problem with buying a Lexus is if you want it to look good, you got to pull all that crap off it, and then you have like 80 holes to fill. It's just never ending amount of holes. So I
saw somebody put carriage bolts in them. I
saw someone recommend that in my comments. Like, you should just do rivets or carriage bolts. And I was like, hard pass.
Okay.
I get why someone would do that, but I don't want to put $200 in carriage bolts or whatever. I mean, hardware is not
yeah.
So are you welding each one of those holes full and then smoothing and sanding it out?
No, what I did is I cut little blanks that were just so how do I describe this? Are you familiar with, there's like a stud gun you can get to pull out dents and stuff?
Yeah.
And it has like little copper studs?
Yep.
Okay. So I cut like 80 little blank pieces of steel. I used my stud gun and I welded like 80 studs onto it. And then I slipped it behind the hole. And then I was able to pull on the stud and then tack weld that piece of steel into the hole. And it's too big of a hole to fill because with a thin panel like that, it would just shrink and it's not going to work. So I threw fat tacks all the way around it, ground everything smooth, and then filled it with fiberglass body filler.
Nice.
So
there are a lot of holes. I mean, because you ripped off the fenders and then probably those side panels.
Yep.
And is there any, so fenders on four corners and all the side panels for the doors and this and between. And then is there anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
like
lower trim
under the door, and then the same thing with the rear door. It's on the rear door and under the rear door.
The rear door being the hatch behind you. Oh man.
So luckily I've got all that done, and the first it's got just quick prime just to make it to where nothing was going to rust on me. And then now what I've done today is I finally finished. I built a flange that follows that in. So I built a flange that follows what I cut out of the front fenders to make it look factory. So it has like a 1-inch, 90-degree flange that follows the whole taper. So it's not just like a rough cut. So it was a lot of time with a metal brake and a shrinker stretcher tool to follow that edge,
and get that curve down. Yeah.
Get that curve down. So it looks clean though. It's out there. Got the first layer of body filler on it right now. So it's all coming together. I'm hoping to spray it this weekend.
Okay. Well, wow. That's ambitious. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I want to know also, are you going to do 2 bumpers like you did on the Tacoma, or are you going to do more of like the traditional 80 style bumpers where it's all plated? Because I'm biased. I love the 2 bumper look that you've always talked about.
That's because you're a rock crawler. I'm the same way.
That's true. Yeah.
I like both styles, but the whole point I want to make with this 80 is that it's not an overland truck. Like, I don't, it's going to look like an overland truck no matter what, but I want to put enough tube and enough elements to where it's clear that this is a rock crawler. And I want it. These should be taken serious as a rock crawler. They're great trucks. And so I'm going with tube, not only because of like, a little bit less complexity. And I love tube work, but I think that it's going to give it more of the rock crawler look,
Nice.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, me too. Well, cool, man. If anybody has any questions for you, they can reach out, like you said, to Google Dirt Lifestyle and see what comes up and reach out to you. I'm looking forward to seeing how the rig ends up and seeing how the 3-link, the front and rear, works out on it. I think it's a rad build. I love that platform. Jimmy and I have always talked about it, that we think that is like the ultimate, that's like the Ultra 4 car of factory vehicles in our opinion. So you can do just about anything you want. It's a beautiful platform to start with. It's really cool to see somebody taking it and trying to prove that point to everybody too. So kudos to you. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what goes on. Hopefully you get the votes and you make it onto Ultimate Adventure. That's, I think, going to be super entertaining to watch and follow along with as well on that trip. And man, I guess anything else you wanted to add in? Anything that you wanted to, that we didn't get to cover yet?
I think that's just about it. I guess I could say, I know that I've been really hard on my Tacoma, and there's a lot of Toyota people that think that I hate Toyotas because of how truthful I've been about that Tacoma. But when I look at off-road vehicles, I look at a box of parts. I don't really care about the rest of it. I don't care that it says Toyota or Land Rover or anything else. If I see really good design and good parts, I'm into it. I loved the look of the Tacoma. Very quickly after buying it, I had a lot of issues just because it's modern car stuff. And so don't think I hate Toyota just because I don't like my Tacoma very much. Like there's
you're building, you're doing all this other stuff too. I mean, you had your Land Rover, you got Jeeps, you've got the Suzuki, the Samurai you're building. Yeah. You've got a couple Toyotas now. Like it's totally a mixture of everything. I think,
absolutely.
One of my favorite quotes or ideas I heard over on our sister podcast. They got to interview Ian Johnson, and he said that off-roading vehicles are just like Mexican food. They're all the same thing. It's just a matter of how you package it. It could be a burrito. It could be a breakfast burrito. It could be whatever it is. They're all the same thing when it comes down to it. And people just prefer a burrito over a chimichanga for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, that's a really interesting analogy. But yeah, I to your point, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that I just like cool stuff, and I have a build bucket list, and so I want to work my way through it and build one of everything. I love it all. I just bought a Kodiak. I haven't really told anybody, but I've got a four-wheel drive Kodiak in my backyard now.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
So yeah, it's I like it all, and this 80. I've already kind of fallen in love with it. I'm embarrassed to say. Like, there's certain vehicles that as you're building them, you just start to like build a relationship. And I'm not only excited for the competition, but I'm excited to keep making content with this truck long after the competition's over, because I've really started to enjoy it.
That's cool, man. Well, sweet. If anybody had any questions for us or feedback for the show, you guys know how to get a hold of us. You can always phone in. If you have a question for Nate, you can leave us a voicemail and we'll send that over to him and see if we can get a voice grab back or have you come back on the show to answer some of the questions if people have some.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. Jimmy, final words for everybody out there today?
I was going to say, if you want to lighten it, I suggest doing a convertible.
Yeah. I had considered it. I really did. I considered doing a convertible. And then once I did some of the basic body work and got all the cladding off of it, I was like, actually, I love the body lines of this thing. I don't want to ruin it. It looks nice.
Right.
Yeah, I do really like the body lines of those rigs. Nate, any final words for everybody out there?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon.
Sweet, man. We'll get you back on here shortly in the future, maybe after UA or before it, and we'll see how that all goes and turns out.
Sounds good.
All right, everybody out there, remember, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
You do?
I do.
That's surprising.
I know. You're shocked every single time. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, me neither.
Do you know what happens when a doctor gets frustrated?
No. What happens when a doctor gets frustrated, Jimmy?
They lose their patience.
Ah. Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I guess it's not a joke. It's more fact.
Yeah.
Okay.